What's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with the Transformers video review. And today, the figure that we're taking a look at is the Haslab Robots in Disguise from Magnus. And let me get him framed up a little bit. So this is the companion piece to Optimus Prime, whom I've already reviewed. I wanted to split up the reviews just so that, I could focus on one and the other. But yeah, there's Ultra Magnus. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. So there's two things about this. First of all, Ultra Magnus has always been the weaker of the two figures. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's just got kind of a hollow look to him, and his shin to thigh ratio is egregious. And that's just design things. And there's not a whole lot that they could do about that particular thing. That being said, while I legitimately do believe that the Optimus Prime is better than the original Optimus Prime, this Ultra Magnus is way better than the original Ultra Magnus. Like, this guy got a heck of a lot of upgrade. Let me just move this to the side, bring in this dude here. I ranted in the last video about the hip ratchets on Optimus Prime. It's the same sort of thing. Like, that was your options when it came to hip ratchets. So this guy didn't really have any kind of a stance. Did I do this? No, I didn't. I thought I remembered these things always being out. Maybe I was wrong. But anyhow, yeah, the way this guy works, it really affected his posability. This guy is just essentially immobile. Like, he's got hip joints and thigh joints and knee joints and whatnot, but you can't really use them because due to the construction of this figure. Like, if you wanted to have him, doing a stance where maybe we'll put him in a little bit of an action pose. And there's just no way to balance him on here because he's got no heels. He doesn't have any foot support while he's in this mode. He's got this pie swivel, but it's really hard. Let's see if we can. No, even if you, there's just not really any way. So, this is a figure that he stands like this, and that's all he does. That's all he'll ever do. I mean, aside from the reason that we all bought him back in the early aughts, which was he combines with Optimus Prime. This figure, on the other hand, has got, first of all, he's got hella ankle support. And in fact, if you really want to be crazy, you can extend that out for even more ankle support, but that's just going crazy there. That makes it so that, that combined with his ankle tilts and whatnot, he's got actual feet, and he can actually pose, make use of his, thigh swivel. He's got the way these panels are positioned, he can actually rotate. That's really not something that you could do on the original, because on the original, like, this came right up to the thing. So, you couldn't do anything with it. Some of the joint structures is a lot the same. The way the shoulders are done is a lot the same. Though I will say, this guy uses ball joints. And I tell you what, one of the big issues, so these ball joints really aren't like awful. No, I mean, they're not great, but they're not like awful. My robots in disguise, Prowl, has those clear plastic ball joints, the sockets, just cracked in short order. And that was a real shame. But these ones, I mean, they're not awful, but they're really not that great. This one takes away all of that. It's got hinge joints and swivels, and there's no ball joints in this, except for, on the head. Actually, I think that's correct. But it's just really good. I will say, though, I don't know if I like the face sculpt quite as well as the original. I don't know. I remember Ultra Magnus in the cartoon being kind of a self-centered prick, and this kind of has the self-centered prick face sculpt more than this one. Also, look at how nice those eyes look. In this one, the eyes are flippin' tiny. But I do like that this Autobot symbol on his forehead is painted. And the overall, shape of the head is better, But, yeah, the original one, it had some issues. And this one really addresses a lot of them, and including a lot of the really big ones. The angle of the wings isn't quite right, but it's not outrageous either. And then, again, like with Optimus Prime, there's just a whole bunch of little details all over the place that really add up and make it all great. Of course, one of the big things, and again, this is me being me, I'm a hater for rubber tires, which this guy doesn't have. Electronics, which this guy doesn't have. Ball joints. The ratchets are something that I usually don't like, but look at that. Look at how nice that A stance is. It's not ridiculous. I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. 100%. I like the sculpted detail that's on it. Shoot, here's a thing that these knee parts are they're just there by the grace of gravity. These ones, they don't clip in. Well, they've got this little tab here, and that tab kind of seats in there a little bit. And so it does kind of stick a bit. It's not like a real firm click or anything like that. But you'll see here, this also has real strong, that octagonal detents. And I don't anticipate that loosening up anytime soon. But it's fantastic. In terms of accessories, really the only accessory that this guy comes with is a whole second figure. Not in the way that Prime came with a whole second figure, but, you know, like, this is an actual figure. So, let's put Magnus to the side for a bit, and let's talk about Blue Bolts. And, so, basically, what happened, for whatever reason, they decided, hey, you know, what if we take Ultra Magnus's gun, and it turns into its own robot? And so, that's what Blue Bolts is. And they are a weaponizer. And so all of these joints are simple. They're simple pegs. And you've got, you know, simple pegs here and here on the thighs. And that's it. It'll split into, what, 7 parts? And you can reconfigure it and recombine it in all sorts of ways. I thought it was funny that these little missiles were like an afterthought. As, you know, prominent as they are on the original figure, there's like, I don't know if we should put them in or not. I should probably put this in frame, huh? But yeah, it's and it of course has its own set of ports and whatnot. So if you had more weaponizers, this can be part of your weaponizer family. But in terms of posability, the head is on a ball joint. It'll look up and down a little bit, swivel just fine. The arms are on simple pivot there. They'll go out for the full tree pose. You've got a peg here that allows for a swivel and a single bend on the elbow for quite a bit of bend. This little red part rotates. This actually comes off. So I lied. There's more parts that you can separate this into. It's got a waist joint. Legs will go forward quite a bit because there's not any kind of a skirt arm in the way. Backwards quite a bit for the same reason. Out for, you know, a considerable amount of the Van Damme. We're just going to say like 170%. Thigh swivel, again, that's just a simple peg. And a single joint knee for hella knee bend. You got these like weird pointy toes, but the heel will bend just that much. And that's pretty much it. I suppose these being 5mm pegs, you can stick them however you want, wherever you want. Even that, don't tell me. But to get this figure transformed up, we're going to take off these things. We're going to take off the arms. The head is going to, if you crack this open, flip all the way around and close it back up. You've got this little handly thing here. The legs are going to come like so. Actually, like so. And close this up. And then we'll do the same for the other leg. Bring that up. And then close this. The toes will slip into this little thing there. And then you're going to plug these into those spots. And then you can just take these arms and extend them out and plug them. We'll rotate these around. Plug them right on there, and then this will rotate, and this little tab here will plug into the slot there. So we'll do it for the other arm as well. Rotate that, flip that in, rotate this out, and then that'll just fit into that peg hole there and that slot right there. And now you have Blue Bolts in its weapon mode. you can't really put it in. So on the, actually I've got it around here somewhere. Now this makes me wonder if it's supposed to go on the underside, actually. Or I wonder, because I'm looking at this, and this originally had it with these guns on the underside. I bet you can take these and just rip them off wholesale, flip this over, and plug it back in. And now you'll have them on the underside. But now I feel this doesn't do one of its things, which is, well, maybe it does. I don't know, let's find out. So then this attaches on. I think these are supposed to go in and plug in underneath the armpits. I'm just going to do it like this. Yeah. And then we'll bring up the arms. Plug the hand into the thumb tab. Will fit into this hole on the back of the handle. Allegedly. I don't know. We'll try it this way with putting in the thumb first. That is just a pain in the butt. There are reasons why even on the original Ultra Magnus, I pretty much never messed around with this gun mode because it was just kind of fiddly. So that's the hole there. That'll go onto the thumb. And then plug this in under the armpit. And then plug this into those tabs, holes, ports. Fit, damn you. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. That'll do just great. So there he is, with blue bolts attached onto his chest, just shooting everything. And for all that work, I'm just going to yoink this back off. Because there is another thing, which, by the way, I wanted to say for this one here, this one had a set of square pegs and round pegs. And then you'll see on this underside here, you've got, these ones have got round holes and these ones have got square holes, and it'll fit into there. And there's no holes on the back of these handles, so you just put his hands up and pretend to do it. And it was also super fiddly, made even more fiddly by the fact that you had to like seat these on like really hard so that they would push. There's like a button in between them. And it was just ridiculous. But anyhow, what I was saying is that on this one, there's a mode where you can fit these like that, and then bring one of them up and bring one of them up, and then rotate this around, and basically have this be like more of a rifle-y thing. But again, I don't really remember how it's supposed to fit on. That was a gameplay mechanic that I never really played with. On this one, there's not really a set way to do that. I think you can take these and tab them together like that, and then you can kind of fit this on the underside, and that'll kind of work, but like not really. One of the things that I have seen about this is you can take and flip out this peg right here. Come on. There we go. And then plug that in to his forearm. And then his hand will kind of go over that. Well, maybe better if you put it this way around. Or this way? So instead of having it as one blaster, you can have it as like two little blasters. And then this part here doesn't really do anything. It would almost be cool if you could attach it onto the back. And you can just place it there if you want. That actually doesn't look half bad. But anyhow, the other thing that you can do with it, by the way, in terms of accessories, I did forget to mention, and I'll mention it really quick now. He does have his own Matrix. After 25 years, Ultra Magnus finally got his wish. This is identical to the one that comes on Optimus Prime. And it just kind of slots in there. But anyhow, what you can do with these is take this and rip the legs off. And then with this folded up the way it was, you can crack this bad boy open. And I want to say this pegs into... No. Maybe like this. No. Basically, this plugs into there. And then I swear it's one of these ways. Yeah, maybe it was like that. That also brings it out too far. But basically, the torso fits into this space here, which you'll close up. That's gonna haunt me until I figure it out. I swear that there was ways to mount that in, but I don't know. Anyhow, so that fits in there, and then you can go around to the back of the legs, and you'll take this and unpeg this dude, and then this will plug into that slot there. Yes, yes, this tab goes into that port there. And then that plugs in, and then on top of that, you'll put one of these arms. Which I want to say just plugs in via this tab right there. And then this piece, which is just an afterthought, just kind of chunks in there. And then you do the same for the other side. And so Blue Bolts stores on Magnus as a gap filler, but I mean, it helps, but it doesn't do much. It really doesn't do much. So, I don't know. I'm going to take this off because we're going to talk about this posability. All right, starting at the head and working our way down. Get that out of the way. His head is on a ball joint. It looks up and not really any down. It'll rotate, and that's basically it. Like, he doesn't even really have side to side tilts. His arms will go around, but they will clunk against his wings. But, you know, it's a decent enough range of motion. His arms will go out for the full tree pose. He does have a bicep swivel. Single bend elbow for just under 90 degrees. His wrist is on this little ball joint here. I forgot to mention he does have another ball joint there. By the way, his regular pose for his hand is like so. But I've often found, even back in the other figure, if you kind of bring it out, it doesn't look terrible. But that's the thing you can do. His thumb is on a hinge. All 4 fingers are also on a single hinge. He has no waist swivel, but he does have his legs will ratchet forward that much. They'll go back, not at all. He does have, how much of the Van Damme? Yeah, he's got like 110% of the Van Damme. Thigh swivel. Really deep knee bend. And a bit of ankle tilt. In terms of posability, much, much improved over the original figure. I'll dig it. But let's get him transformed up. So what you want to do when transforming him is, you're going to start by grabbing him by the hips and sliding this out. And we'll throw this off to the side for now and split these legs. They're just attached with a single clip. We're going to straighten out that like so. And then this is going to come around, and these little screw holes will kind of fit onto these little bosses here. like so. You want to extend this extend that, bring that in, and then collapse it back down. This will, by the way, when it's collapsed in, it will tab into that piece there. And then you're just going to take and swivel this around real quick, fit that together, bring this out, make sure it's bending on this second hinge right here. This will flip around. And that's one all done. The other one is just like the first one. Plug that in. Swap this around. Flip that out, close that, flip that in, and there you have his legs. Now for this guy, what you want to do is get these out of the way. We're going to take his head, flip it around, and then close it back into that same spot. You want to take these will untab from these blue pieces here, bring them around. What you want to do is bring this up and around and get them into position kind of like so. I keep on thinking my brain would be nice if it went like this, but it doesn't. These fingers do have to be lifted up a bit. You do want to make sure that you fold out these tires before you move on. And then this thing here will untab from here. By the way, this is one of the things that I really appreciate about this mode is that this tabs in, and that's nice. You want to untab these from there, and then this whole thing is going to kind of peel away. You can kind of yoink this around and then tug on it from this side. That'll help that come out. And basically what's going to happen is that these are going to fit in here like this. And then the hands are just going to come up through here. The arms do not peg into each other, so you just kind of got to like play it by ear. But you can keep them like so, and then you've got these two tabs back here that'll fit into these holes on the back of this structure here. And just kind of make sure that this is going into its home and guide that into those tabs. Give it a little bit of a squeeze, and there's that. These wings have got to be lifted up, and this is honestly one of the things about this that I thought was a little bit excessive, is how much force it required to go from vehicle mode. How much force you got to put onto these, because these will come down, and then that hole will fit over that tab, and it's just really, really tight. And part of the thing that's weird is that this piece here is actually, it's molded in blue plastic, but then it's painted blue as well. And so that's why there's a little bit of paint rub there. It's not any kind of a big deal whatsoever, but it takes an awful lot of pressure to just bring that down. And then when you bring it back up, it'll slide up from there pretty well. It's that click at the end that takes a lot of pressure. These will tab together just like the original. Oh, I forgot to mention, this little blue panel will come down and tab over this white tab right here. And then you can take this piece here. This will untab. There's this little tab on the underside of here that fits into this slot. You'll untab that and then just bring this around. So now he's got two of them all lined up. This will untab from the top. By the way, that is a significant little difference. It's a difference that you think doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But in action, it really makes a lot of difference just to tab it in up here. Bring that down and then tab it in the lower position. And there's the cab of Ultra Magnus. And so you can see here, even just looking at the way they orient up, there's a lot of difference in the way it transforms. Like structurally, they looked almost identical in robot mode, but in vehicle mode, there's a big difference there. So then for this, the last but not least part of this is you'll take this and basically there's a little notch on the very end of that toe, and that is going to fit over this little tab that's on the arm. And so you kind of bring that in. Actually, it might be best to tab these both into each other first. So, and by the way, these will fit together. They've got a tab and little locking tabs here, and then these features here will tab together as well. Clunk. But anyhow, bring these down. Fit those over those little tabs. And then while you're kind of holding into this position, this is going to slide up and into this little tab at the foot. And that will hold that actually pretty securely by itself. But then we're going to take this and fold this in, and these two pegs are going to fit into those two holes right there. And while that's going on, make sure this is flush. While that's going on, there's a slot here that's going to fit onto this tab right here. And the whole thing just fits together, and then you want to lift up this car bed here. Bring that around, and again, these tabs will fit into slots inside here. And also, you'll have little tabs back here. And there is Ultra Magnus in his vehicle mode. And again, just fantastic. And when you shake this thing, the only sound you hear is the tires kind of rattling around on their pins. Like, this doesn't creak or groan or flex or stretch or anything like that. Whereas you can take the old one, and again, it's like, I hate to throw shade at this figure because I legitimately believe that they did the best they knew how to do. But it's not amazing, you know? And I just legitimately feel like this one is amazing. It's really, really nice. Couple of things. So you can crack these open. These pegs in here on the back of these thrusters, those look like 5mm pegs to me. And I don't know what they're supposed to plug into. I haven't found anything that they plug into. So I have no idea what the story with that is. But you can drop this down and drop this down, and you can roll up little cars. I've got Sideburn around here somewhere, but I'm not sure where he is at the moment. And you can roll it up and park them here and then here and lift that up and park a third one under here. And maybe if we get, you know, if we get the other of the Autobot Car Brothers, we'll have all three of them on here. But in the meantime, we'll just have to make do with one, which I don't even have on me at the moment. So, yeah. Come on. But yeah, you can plug this dude onto the top, just using those two little pegs. To use this from vehicle mode to shoot shit. Maybe you want to move these around. I bet you they'll get better engagement on those pegs. Handles. But yeah, fantastic figure. I'm really digging it. It just... It's the remastered version of the original. And it's so good. But the only thing that I really miss from the original, I like that big Autobot symbol, and there's not one here. But other than that, basically 1000% nailed it. It's fantastic. But that's about all I've got to say about that. Thanks everybody for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.